Hello and welcome all. You are all. Welcome to the aftermarket analysis session. This is an aftermarket analysis session. Here, we look at the Nifty and Bank Nifty after the Indian market closes. We try to read the market better by identifying where the buyer's interest was and where the seller's interest was. If you are new and want to use the footprint effectively, learn order flow in a better way, or want to learn how to use GoCharting well, you can join this live session every evening at 5:45. The link for this live session is uploaded on the GoCharting Telegram community and Discord community before 5 p.m. If you are using GoCharting, there is a notification on the right side as soon as you click on the pop-up. Here, you will also get the webinar link here every day before 5:45 p.m. Okay, so if in any case you miss this live webinar, so the recording of this live webinar is available on every GoCharting YouTube channel. There is a separate YouTube channel for almost every possible language. GoCharting uploads on every channel in different languages as well. Links to all those YouTube channels are provided in the description. And one more thing, GoCharting currently has a holy special offer running where you will get 30% off on all annual plans for every market, whether it's Indian or US. If you purchase any plan annually, you will get 30% off. This offer is valid until April 7th. Okay, so there are still 10 to 12 days left. If you are thinking about switching now, this offer is for you, especially for Nifty. We try to read the footprints. But for once, let's look at yesterday's confirmations of Nifty's volume profiles. Where, how, what is there? Okay. So simple confirmations from the volume profile. We had marked the levels based on the confirmation. Yesterday's VIPAC zone was this. Okay. And it was also the largest volume node of the entire day. So we marked this volume node. The VIPAC zone was also within this. Secondly, if this breaks, then the volume node of the previous session. If this breaks, then the volume nodes from the previous session. We had simply marked the volume nodes for 34 sessions. In case if Nifty breaks to the upside, then the previous swing high, we had marked it here. Age resistant. Absolutely. From the volume profile with confirmation. Alright, now based on these confirmations, we examine in detail how we got confirmations on the footprint regarding these levels. It was somewhat volatile, with large candles forming for Nifty today. So we had to increase the tick size for Nifty above 180. Otherwise, the tick size for Nifty usually works well around 180. If you are looking at Bank Nifty, you can use a tick size of over 400, around 350, which works quite well. To read the footprint properly, we need to know what delta is. Why do we need to know what delta is? Because with the help of delta, we are going to read the footprint here. Delta is simply the difference between buyers and sellers. How is the difference between buyers and sellers? Like when we examine in detail the first candle, we look at the third candle. Pravan Kumar set today's Nifty ticket at 200, buddy. If it increases, just set it at 202 or 220, maximum at 220. Like when we look at the third candle, the delta value of this candle is the highest one. I think the screen is visible to everyone. Praful. If it's not visible to you, you can rejoin. Okay. Okay. If we look at today's tick size, sorry. If we look at the third candle, let's look at the delta of this candle for today. The highest delta value is inside the green box, and there is no negative sign in front of the value. So it means this is one positive delta. Positive delta always indicates positive delta, the stamp of buyers. Positive delta means buyers, so inside the first candle, sorry, the third candle, there were 13,000 more buyers. As compared to sellers, this positive delta told us. Now let's look at the second candle. Looking at the delta of this candle, it's around 51,000, meaning 1. So in the red box, there's a negative sign above, which means negative delta. Negative delta always provides information about sellers. Wherever there is a negative delta, understand that there are sellers. So, how much is the negative data? So around 51,000, 51,000. This means there are more sellers within this candle. 51,000 as compared to buyers, like when you look at any particular candle. This candle is red, but there was no sign of selling inside it. Positive delta. Order flow helps a lot in this aspect as well. Alright, like, the candle is red, but positive delta. So it means there wasn't any actual selling inside this candle, it just appears red. For every candle, we get a conclusion about who is more powerful inside this candle. By looking at the buyer or seller delta, we can quickly tell. Buyers are powerful. In this candle, who is more powerful, buyer or seller? The seller is powerful. In this candle, who is powerful? The buyer is powerful. We get a conclusion from every candle. The delta reveals every candle. So, now, the delta. You must be seeing two types. Now we will talk about both positive and negative. There are some candles whose delta is very low, 13,000, 19,000, 16,000. Okay, and this is just 900, meaning whether it's positive, whether it's negative, both deltas are being discussed. There are some candles whose delta is very low, meaning below 30,000 delta, and there are some candles whose delta is very heavy, 50,000, again, 50,000, 100,000, 90, 1,000 again around 63,000, again around 90. Okay, so what did we see? We saw two types of data, one with very low values and one with very high values. So, the candles with a high delta have shown heavy buying and heavy selling. And where there is heavy buying and heavy selling, those are the candles that somehow clarify the market's direction. After significant buying and selling, only then can we expect some movement. And there are some candles whose data is very low. These are the candles where buying and selling have occurred, but they don't have the potential for us to say, yes, now the market will move. So, what is the better position? To read the large delta, which can be above 30, around 30. Okay, now let's proceed by reading the footprint of each candle and see what happened and where. The delta of the first candle can often appear heavy every day, but trade the data of the first candle with caution. Because look, there was significant buying, but the market went down from there. Okay, so this was a support zone, which was yesterday's volume node. Until this breaks, we cannot expect anything bearish. Now, how can we read the footprint well? Like the first candle. Its delta is quite significant. Staying above 30,000 means it's very good. Who are the buyers in it? So when there are more buyers in this candle, who should we better read? The buyer's side. On the right side of the multiply, there are buyers, and on the left side, there are sellers. Who is more powerful? the buyers. So there will be one particular point where the most buying activity will be seen, like in the first candle. The first candle has a lot of volume, so just one method was explained. Let's see what happens next, like looking at the next candle. Around 51,000 negative data. Who is more within this? More sellers. Which side of the footprint is on the left side? The left-hand side of the multiply is the seller's side. So sellers are more powerful within this candle. And which is the place where the most selling occurred? This place is 96 and 58, meaning there was quite a good amount of selling here, which is why we see this negative delta. We are only concerned with the seller's position. This is the place where the most selling occurred. This is the place we executed this selling. Now the question arises, the first selling was initiated. The first selling was initiated. Did the volume node from yesterday break or not? But one selling was initiated. Now let's see what happened after the selling. The next two candles broke this selling zone upwards. This means that the selling from this candle was completely absorbed here. And in the case of selling absorption, it indicates bullishness whenever you see selling and the price moves in the opposite direction. Then understand that the selling has been absorbed. Now that selling zone will act as a support, not as a resistance. If you want to understand selling absorption, well, there are many videos on the GoCharting YouTube channel that you can watch. Yesterday's volume area was also a deep area. One selling occurred, and the next two candles indicated that this selling has been absorbed here. Today, there is almost the largest positive delta of the day, around 100,000 data, which is a very large buying. A delta of 100,000 means that within this particular candle, there is a buying quantity of 100,000 more compared to sellers, indicating more buyers. So, looking at the buyer side, let's see which place has the most buying. Look here, around 200,000 quantity has been bought at this particular point. First, there was a selling exhaustion, which indicated that the trend is bullish. And second, there was significant buying observed. This is the significant buying. What happened in the next candle? Again, 9 million positive delta. So 9 million had 91,000 positive data. Selling was observed. Aggressive buyers entered. Why am I saying aggressive buyers entered? Because there was buying. The next candle went up from the buying, and more buying was initiated, meaning buying started from here and continued significantly in price up to this point. The next candle also remained above that buying zone, so there was substantial buying. After the selling absorption by the buyer's center, again in the next candle, there was a positive delta of 91,000, and the most buying activity occurred here. Okay, so the selling was absorbed. Aggressive buyers entered from here, and the price moved up to this point. Now, what happened in the next candle? Again, buying. Okay, in the next three candles, the buying that was initiated in the 9:30 candle was perfectly held by these three candles and continued within these candles, meaning the buying zones are being held for 5 to 10 minutes, and there is no interest in selling, no buying absorption, because the initial large buying that was initiated, the price, is holding above it easily. Okay, and continuous buying is happening, tapping twice where the initial buying was initiated. The next 34 candles held the same bank zone well, and we saw an upside move with continuous buying and a solid bank stance. Look at this, buying at 63, buying at 90, buying at 60. Okay, but where did the biggest buying happen? Here, around 2 lakh, Someone bought a quantity of around 2 lakh at 208, and a quantity of around 95,000 was bought here. So, this was the particular zone where the most buying was initiated in a small area, and if you want to wait for a pullback, this is the better zone, where you can wait for a pullback. Every candle had buying inside 90, 163K, 47K, 35K, and every candle had a positive delta. But again, the biggest thing is that 08K now. Again, a pullback came, but the issue with this pullback is that buying, meaning selling pressure, was seen somewhere inside the pullback. 30K, again, 27K, 23K. Look at these two. Selling came inside this candle, and again, selling came inside this candle. So it came on the pullback, but it came with selling. So you will also see many pullbacks where it will come on the pullback, and you won't see any selling anywhere. The show is quite good. There is solid confirmation of the pullback, but here, it came on the pullback with selling. Let's look ahead. Again, it came on the pullback, and this time, it brought even more significant selling. What's selling? Selling at 85, tapped once with selling. So if it's with selling, then if there are sellers, they can break any level. The second time it tapped, again was selling at 85, which is a very large selling, and the selling zone is at 37 to 85, where the exact support zone was. That's where the particular selling occurred. So if selling is happening above a support zone, you should wait for one more pullback until all the selling stops. Then there is a solid confirmation that yes, you can enter. But with one pullback with selling, the second pullback or with selling, and the third time here. The third time it broke through all the buying zones. So if the buying zones have been broken, it means the biggest buying happened here. So if this buying zone has been broken, then there's not much bullishness left in the market. Whatever bullishness was left was just yesterday's volume note. This one and selling came, but the selling that was coming here, like this selling came. Okay, it was light, and it was absorbed here. Again, another selling came. Okay, but even after the selling, the price didn't go down, meaning it stayed within the same range. Okay, so there was selling. But the price wasn't able to move as much as it should have. Just one time selling happened, and there was more trapping going on, because as soon as it came to the buying zones, the biggest selling happened here. Where did this selling happen? It happened where the biggest buying zone was. There was some trapping here. Again, some selling happened here. And then the selling was stopped. All right, after that, what happened was that it kept revolving around the same volume profile note. And no big volume came after that. The one biggest buying here, which created a support, took 12 pullbacks from there. Took here, and lightly again took the third one here. And slightly moved down. There was a support that was broken by selling here, and slightly took a downside mode. Whatever was in the morning today depended on that for movement. The first selling was absorbed by a very aggressive buyer center, and in the next few candles, the same zone held on the pullback, and an upside movement came again on the pullback. But it came with selling. It came again, but again with selling. And finally, that selling broke this entire buying zone. And the support that was formed in the morning finally acted as resistance. From here, it pulled back. And now let's see what happened inside Bank Nifty today. Okay, inside Bank Nifty, a good amount of volume came in the beginning, which was on the buying side, like the 930 candle, the 935 candle. It's good data. Just like in Nifty, buying came in the 930 candle here too, and the price moved significantly. The first candle in which buying came, These are its buying zones, 10,000 and 12,020. Buying means we saw a positive delta in this candle. What was in it? There were more buyers. Went to the buyer's side and look at the place where particular buying happened the most. This was the place where particular buying happened the most. A pullback came here once, but there was no interest in selling here. Whatever selling came, it only came during the pullback time. Again, like in Nifty, it came again, broke it again, and just like what happened in Nifty, the buying zones in the morning that created support, once broken here, support became resistance. The same support zone acted as resistance. Look, it pulled back once, and this is the second pullback. After that, no buying activity was seen here. Everything was negative delta. Okay, now whoever has any questions, please unmute yourself and ask your questions.